Now at 10, two area museums come together to host a Croatian heritage education event. Plus, the McDonald County Historical Society holds a presentation on Vance Randolph and his Ozark superstitions. And Christmas is just around the corner. We have safety tips to keep in mind while putting up decorations.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Joplin police say the woman who was struck by an SUV in the Sam's Club parking lot yesterday has died. This is KOAM News at 10. I'm Elise Snowy. It happened around 11:30 yesterday morning. Police say the woman was hit as she was entering the store. She was taken to the hospital but has since died from her injuries. The driver was not cited by police at the scene. We'll provide you with more details as they become available. A restaurant in Carthage, Missouri is damaged after a car drove into the building this morning. It happened around 7:30 a.m. Authorities say the staff of La Tiendita Authentic Mexican Restaurant and Grocery were trying to open the restaurant when the car came through, tossing cables and chairs. Police also say the driver was checking the business's hours before attempting to leave and accidentally putting their car in a drive rather than reverse. Neither the driver nor anyone inside the restaurant were hurt. Chief Meteorologist Doug Hetty joins us for a first look at weather.
All right, it turned out to be a nice Sunday for us today. Temperatures fantastic as we went into the upper 60s during the afternoon hours. Really our high temp shortly before 1 p.m. Chilly start, 39 during the morning hours. Normal high is 60 for this time of the year, but still, we'll take that above average, and it looks like our temperatures are going to stay that way as we go through the next couple days. All right, looking outside, dropping back through the 50s. Into the 40s, but we are going to stay dry tonight, but we do have some clouds which have been working in over the past several hours. So we are going to have mostly cloudy skies tonight. We're going to have mostly cloudy skies once again as we head into the daytime hours tomorrow as a wave kind of passes to our south. We'll drop back into lower 40s for overnight lows, so not as cold for us tonight. What about the work week? What does it look like? We're going to take a look at that here in just a bit.
Thanks, Doug. Firearms deer season starts this weekend, so hunters across Missouri are making their final preparations. If you'll be hunting from a tree stand this year, conservation experts want to make sure you have a plan to stay safe. One guideline: don't load your gun until you're sitting in your stand. Even if the safety is engaged, it's best not to leave anything to chance. Your gun could fall or smack against a branch. It's also a good idea to inspect your tree stand to make sure everything is in good working order. And don't forget to strap yourself in once you're up in the tree.
If you're hunting from a tree stand, always wear a harness or a safety belt. Harness is probably better because it controls more of your body, but a harness or a safety belt. Average height of a tree stand is probably 15 to 20 feet. That doesn't sound like a lot, but if you fall, that could cause a lot of damage.
Firearms deer season runs through November 21st. A mandatory sample collection is taking place in Jasper County this weekend. Firearms deer season opened this weekend, and the Missouri Department of Conservation is conducting mandatory sample collecting in search for chronic wasting disease in the state. Chronic wasting disease is a prion disease that affects deer, elk, and moose.
Basically, it makes them where they lose their function and they end up looking sickly. But you can actually have a deer that has the disease and is not actually showing symptoms. So that's why just looking at the deer, you can't tell. The only way that you can actually tell is if there's a harvested deer and we actually do sample the lymph nodes. And that's what we're doing here at the station today.
Jasper County is one of 39 counties in Missouri collecting mandatory samples. Miners Hall Museum today hosted a Croatian heritage learning event. Presenter George Barbaric covered topics such as immigration, employment, music, and instruments. Miners Hall partnered with Kansas City's Strawberry Hill Museum to host this event as many Croatian immigrants settled in the Kansas City and four-state area.
Strawberry Hill was basically a large Croatian settling point for those immigrants that came over here. A lot of them worked in the manufacturing, or excuse me, into the meatpacking industry, and then a lot of them became city employees in KCK because the whole city is basically a government employment town.
Barbaric says his main goal is to pass down the traditions and keep the Croatian name alive. McDonald County Historical Society held their annual membership meeting today, along with a program about Vance Randolph and his Ozark superstitions. Known for his documentation of the native Ozark culture and folklore, Randolph's last manuscript had been forgotten for nearly 40 years, but has since been rediscovered and will be released as a new book titled Mildred Quit Hollering.
A friend of mine about 12-15 years ago, he gave me an old copy of Vance Randolph's book titled Ozark Superstitions, and I never even heard of Vance Randolph at that time, and I started reading through it and reading it, and I just thought, man, this is fascinating.
Tomorrow at 6:30 p.m., the first 250 special editions of Randolph's Mildred Quit Hollering will be available at a book signing event at Wire Road Brewing Company in Battlefield, Missouri. Coming up, we take a look at a new government funding proposal unveiled yesterday in hopes to avoid a shutdown. Plus, how a possible deal between Israel and Hamas could give hundreds of hostages their freedom. We're less than a week away from a possible government shutdown, and a new House Speaker Mike Johnson unveiled a proposal yesterday he hopes will avoid that. The first part of the bill would extend funding until January 19th. It would provide money for military construction, veteran affairs, energy, and water. And the second part would extend funding until February 2nd and cover the rest of the government. No aid for Israel is included in the current proposal. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu hinted that there may be a deal in the works to release hostages being held by Hamas terrorists. For their part, Hamas says they've stopped negotiating over Israel's handling of the Al-Shifa hospital, the largest in Gaza. CBS's Christian Benavides reports.
The ground war in Gaza is intensifying. Hospitals in northern Gaza are essentially out of service. These are the hallway corridors inside of Al-Shifa Hospital, where newborns had to be taken off incubators because there's no electricity.
We have several families that they are there, and these are patients. We need to understand that we have to protect the hospitals. Any attack in the medical care at the moment is an attack in humanity.
Israel says Hamas militants are using Al-Shifa as their command center underground. They're calling for everyone, including patients, to be evacuated, releasing these images of Israeli soldiers delivering fuel to the hospital for their generators. While there is a daily humanitarian 4-hour pause, for now a ceasefire is not an option until all hostages are released, says Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
Is there a potential deal?
There could be, but I think the less I say about it, the more I'll increase the chances that it materializes. And it's a result of pressure, military pressure.
Presidential hopeful Chris Christie in the region Sunday got a look at some of the arsenal Israeli troops have seized from Hamas. This weekend, large rallies in Tel Aviv and Paris called for hostages held by Hamas to be released.
You're committing genocide!
While international pressure continues to mount for a ceasefire. Christian Benavides, CBS News.
Today, the Rafah border crossing into Egypt from Gaza reopened after closing for 2 days. Injured Palestinians once again began arriving in Egypt. Hundreds of pro-Palestine protesters marched through the streets near President Biden's home in Wilmington, Delaware on yesterday, demanding a ceasefire in the Israel-Gaza war. The demonstrators waved the flag of Palestine and chanted "Free Palestine now." The president returned to his Delaware home after attending Veterans Day services at Arlington National Cemetery. He has repeatedly said the United States stands with Israel. Yesterday, about 300,000 demonstrators turned out in London to show their support for Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. They marched through the streets chanting "Stop bombing Gaza" and "Ceasefire now." The event, called National March for Palestine, was the latest in a series of rallies in the British capital to show support for the Palestinians. The march took place as right-wing counter-protesters clashed with police. A little later, we'll have some tips to help you stay safe while getting into the Christmas spirit.
Well, it definitely turned out to be a nice Sunday for us today. We had quite a bit of sunshine. Temperatures great as we went into the mid to upper 60s across the region. Looks good right now. We do have some clouds filtering in, but a nice shot. This is our Cornell Arts and Entertainment Complex tower cam. We're looking at downtown Joplin, of course, off toward the north and to the east. But yeah, we're going to get some clouds in here tonight. But besides that, it's going to be okay. We're going to stay on the dry side. All right, look at our temperature. So cool start this morning, down into the upper 30s, mid 60s for highs today. A little bit warmer than what we had on Saturday, but we did get a pretty good weekend. Nice weather across the board. As we go through the night tonight, we'll drop back lower 40, so a little bit warmer than what we had this morning, rebounding back to 58 by 10 a.m. All right, look at the clouds kind of filtering in. Now, there's nothing underneath these clouds, so we are staying dry, but they are out there, and this is due to a wave that is centered down to our south across parts of Oklahoma into Texas, and you can see the rain once you get south of Dallas, Houston, back toward Corpus Christi, but most of the moisture is going to stay to our south, but we are definitely going to get the clouds as we go through the next couple days, but we should stay mainly on the dry side, but it's just going to be clipping right on by. All right, let's look down the road because it looks like in general we're going to have a pretty good week. You can see that system next couple days passing just to our south, and then we look pretty good. We get nice temperatures, upper 60s. Here's Thursday. Friday, a little bit cooler, but still nice, upper 50s to near 60 degrees. But our next storm system that really gives us a decent shot to get some rain in here, this is going to be this next Sunday, so late Sunday into Monday. And we need to watch this because this is right before Thanksgiving. This is 4 or 5 days, I guess 4 days, 3.5 days before Thanksgiving. So that's a big travel week, and we are going to get a couple storm systems which are going to affect us during that week. But this week looks pretty quiet once again. Our temperatures dropping back lower 40s tonight, kind of in and out of the clouds. As we go through the morning hours, we warm into lower 60s by the noon hour, and I think most of us top out right about 68 degrees, so maybe a notch or two warmer than what we did see today. Tomorrow night, still kind of in and out of the clouds a little bit. We'll drop back, lower 40s again, very consistent, and then as we go into Tuesday afternoon, high temps about 68 degrees. So the next couple days, they're going to be very similar to what we saw today and what we're going to see tomorrow. 47 to start, 61 by 11, by 3 p.m. upwards of about 68 or 69 degrees, which, hey, we'll definitely take. 68 Tuesday, 69 Wednesday, near 69 on Thursday, so very consistent all week long. Hair cooler on Friday, sunshine Saturday, and then those rain chances start to sneak in on next Sunday into Monday as we cool down just a little bit more. Elise?
Thanks, Doug. Well, a lot of folks may take advantage of this nice weather to get outside and hang your Christmas lights. Nick Kelly spoke with the pros about how to stay safe while getting into the holiday spirit.
Some businesses like Bass Pro Shop and homes across the Ozarks have gotten into the holiday spirit with lights going up already. It's important, though, for do-it-yourselfers to know how to stay safe while putting up decorations. A study from the CDC shows during a 3-year period, more than 14,000 people went to the ER for decorating-related injuries. Of the 5,800 fall injuries reported, 43% were caused from falling off ladders, with 47% of those injuries requiring hospitalization. To prevent these falls from happening and resulting in scratches to broken wrists, back, or neck injuries, medical experts keep ladder safety tips pretty straightforward.
Make sure your ladder's on a stable surface. That there's no wet leaves or snow or anything under it where it could slip. Making sure that your ladder is not broken or has bent, ladder rings in any way. And just making sure that you're using the 3-step contact is what we like to call it. So having 2 hands and 1 foot or 2 foot and 1 hand on the ladder at all times.
Experts advise at least 2 people to do the job where one can hold the ladder safely. Plus, non-slip shoes clear of any snow or mud can make sure you stay safe on the ladder and on the roof while getting into the holiday spirit.
The Rockefeller Center Christmas tree arrived in New York City yesterday. According to Rockefeller Center, this tree was 80 feet tall, weighed 12 tons, and was believed to be about 80 to 85 years old. The NYPD escorted the tree from Vestal, New York, where it was grown. The tree is scheduled to be lit up for the first time in the official ceremony on Wednesday, November 29th. As the holiday shopping season kicks off, online spending is making year-over-year gains. According to Adobe Analytics, online shopping has seen a 6% increase over 2022 and nearly a 14% increase from September. Consumers spent $76.8 billion online shopping in October. Early holiday discounts and promotions appear to have been the driving factor. Coming up in sports, we take a look where Pitt State football places in the Division II football playoffs. Plus, the Pitt State men's basketball team is in Kansas City looking for their first win of the season. Brock Baldridge has the highlights.
The Pittsburgh State Gorillas are coming off their second consecutive season as MIAA champs. Well, Pittsburgh State is now officially headed to the NCAA Division II playoffs, and to celebrate that, the team got together on Sunday afternoon for a watch party. In downtown Pittsburgh at the 505 Club and Restaurant, they hosted the Pittsburgh State Gorilla football team as they await to see where they will be placed in the Division II playoffs next week. The Gorillas were able to confirm their spot in the playoffs after their 20-10 win over Central Oklahoma on Saturday.
This is the standard. The standard is to be playing in postseason. The standard is to be here playing and practicing over the holidays and so forth. And our guys work extremely hard to try to reach the top of the mountain. And today is the beginning of that.
Pittsburgh State was selected to host a playoff game as the number 3 seed in Super Region 3. So let's take a look at that Super Regional 3 bracket. Pittsburgh State will face, well, the exact same team they did the year before in the opening round of the playoffs. The Gorillas will host the University of Indianapolis Greyhounds this Saturday at Carney Smith Stadium. Kickoff is set for 1 p.m. Of course, you can see how the rest of the bracket shapes up. The winner of the Pitt State versus Indy game will face the winner between Grand Valley State and Ferris State. On the other side of the Super Regional 3 bracket, Harding University gets the first round bye. The only other MIAA opponent in this bracket is Central Missouri. They will face Henderson State at home. Winner of that game will travel to play Harding next Saturday. Well, we go from football now to basketball, and the Pitt State men's basketball team is wrapping up their season opening tournament after a Sunday afternoon game in Kansas City. Pittsburgh State on the neutral court in Kansas City, facing off against the Sioux Falls Cougars. The Central Region Tip-Off Challenge. First half, freshman from Memphis, Jordan Fryson, knocks down the 3 to give Pitt State a 5-point lead. Remember that name for later in the year. Later in the half, Fryson takes this one to the rim, finishes with the left hand. Only his second game as a Gorilla, finished with a team-high 22 points. Later in the first half, it's going to be Jordan Fryson once more. Drives this one to the lane, but he kicks out to Pittsburgh's very own Deshaun English for 3. Gorillas up by 16 at that point. Pitt State would lead by 17 points going into halftime. So in the second half, Pitt State leads by 9, but Sioux Falls' Jack Kettner knocks down the 3. It's now only a 6-point Gorilla lead. Wait a minute, we still got a ball game here. With only 2 minutes to go now, Pitt State leads by 3. Sean Warrior drives in the paint. We now have a 1-point game. Next Gorilla possession, leading by only 1 point. Deshaun English, what a move. Pitt State now leads by 3 again. 2 seconds remain in the game. Pitt State leads by 1. Shot at the buzzers, no good for Sioux Falls. Would have been the game winner. Pitt State hangs on for dear life. The Gorillas win 67-66 for their first win of the season.
It's fun to see our guys get a stop to win the game. Sometimes it's about getting a score to win the game, but this time it was about getting a stop to win the game. And just proud of some of the way the guys came off the bench and played some unbelievable minutes for us and able to get the dub.
Well, the Missouri Southern Lions football team finished their 2023 campaign with a remarkable double overtime victory on Saturday. The season may not have gone the way the team wanted to, but Saturday's win did prove that, yes, there is progress within the program. Missouri Southern finished with a 5-6 overall record, which was their best since 2013. Lions also picked up their first win over a ranked opponent, for the first time, well, since 2013. Missouri Southern did finish the season below 500, but head coach Atiba Bradley says the result of this season could be something the program can build on.
And I like where we're at. I mean, we finished 5-6. Quite frankly, probably, realistically, could have been 7-4, 8-3, with a couple plays here and there. And so, we have not arrived. don't be getting that out. But we're definitely on the upswing. We're doing a lot of things positive. We're doing a lot of things to give ourselves a chance to compete for a championship.
I mean, it was huge, and doing something that hasn't been done here in a decade. Which to some people might not seem like a lot, but to this program it means a lot. So finishing off that way was awesome.
And that's a look for sports. We'll be back with more news right after this.
To be the first to see breaking news, weather, and sports, download the KOAM News app. It's available free of charge in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Just search for the KOAM News app. Now over to Doug for a final look at the forecast.
All right, it's going to be a chilly night tonight, but not as cold as what we saw during the morning hours. Temperatures will back down into lower 40s. 68 tomorrow, 68 Tuesday. Partly cloudy skies, a little bit more sunshine on Wednesday. Temperatures consistent all week long, and then it cools down just a bit late in the work week. Elise?
Not too bad for mid-November.
No, not at all.
Final sports note.
Kansas City Chiefs did not play a game today, but the Ravens lost, Jaguars lost, and the Bengals lost. So, I mean, almost a perfect bye week for the Chiefs.
Absolutely. Well, that's our time for now. Thanks for making us part of your night.